doesn't come, I will see then. Run to wrong, my self-restraint. Yeah. Swept away in the dead of a winter. It's only when I cry out for my lover, and I'm all alone.
Way of him. This is the Wally Show, and that is one Mr. Joseph O'Brien from America's Got Talent, and I'm making good on my promise, am I not?
Yes, you are. You're making very well on your promise.
Okay, because I told him, I said, win, lose, or draw, however your time on America's Got Talent goes, because he couldn't perform last time he was on with us because of the AGT rules. I said, we're going to have you back on, and you're going to perform, and that is still going to happen, which is great. Mm-hmm. But I really want to catch up with you and ask about some of the stuff that went on after, you were on the show, because, you're on America's Got Talent, and I remember seeing you standing there, and I voted for you, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I've never done that before for anybody.
Sweet. That's
and
good.
we're all, my whole family's like, come on, Joe Bro. And that's what we call him now.
Joe Bro, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, and you're watching you up there, and then all of a sudden you're waiting, and then I have to think, you're crazy nervous at that moment, waiting to hear your name or not, right?
Oh, yeah. When I was up there with BKJ or Brien King Joseph, we were just standing up there, and they do the whole 25 seconds. Just
is it legit
up
that
there.
long?
Oh, it feels much longer. I mean, I think it's 20-25, and we're supposed to look off into the distance, it's all dramatic and stuff like that. And actually, originally, I thought that she said both, and so initially I almost jumped up for joy, but I was like, hold up. I heard maybe Joseph, I heard it maybe she said Brien and Joseph.
Right.
But it was Brien King Joseph, and then when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, his last name was the same as your first?
That's almost unfair.
Isn't that crazy?
That's mean.
Joseph O'Brien and Brien King Joseph, literally Brien Joseph, Joseph O'Brien. It's like a reverse.
If I had been doing the show, I would have done it last name first just to hose you. I would have been Joseph King Brien. You'd be like, no!
I'm serious. That would have totally wrecked me.
Oh,
I would have
man.
been so upset. But,
so you don't hear your name, and what was
he did, but not the right one.
Yeah, not the right one. Yeah.
So what was in that moment when you realized, okay, it's not me? What was the first thought that went through your head right then?
I don't know. There was only one thought. It was oh, it's over.
Done.
Oh my gosh, it's done. Because this had started in January, the whole process. So it was 8 months of my life basically, where I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do?
You put college on hold for this.
Yeah, I did. I did put college on hold, and so the whole thing just rattled me, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is done, and now what am I supposed to do? Because 8 months of your life, I mean, that's a lot of time, and you're doing all this back behind the scenes stuff, recording covers and songs for them and sending it in. I mean, it was basically almost every day. The grind was pretty legit. So it was pretty heartbreaking, but I don't know, it was a little relieving, because it was a good run, and I was just thankful that the Lord put me there in that kind of moment in time, and that I was able to just, be myself and share my story even behind the scenes, and on my Instagram and stuff like that, and just be able to share what the Lord did throughout that whole process. So,
yeah, because that was a thing where, people I'm sure some people probably maybe hit you back and hey, why aren't you using this opportunity to do a Christian song, or whatever, because you did a couple originals and a couple covers and stuff. But I think that life is so much bigger than that, and it is truly how you interact with people. If they see you losing graciously, that speaks volumes about your character, more so than playing a Christian song and then being a bad loser, kind of thing. I do want to talk with you, if you can hang out. I want to talk with you about literally what happens after that, that night and on to getting to where we are today. You being back here on the Wally Show, who loves you more than America's Got Talent, and so hopefully you'll always be on our show.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. Isn't me you're looking for? And I can see it in your eyes.
Way of him, this is the Wally Show, and that is Joseph O'Brien, and he was on America's Got Talent. And what was the level that you went to? Because there's about 1 billion shows, and I'm never sure what quarter, final, whatever. Where'd you get to?
So AGT consists of, I think, 5 rounds. So it's, initial audition round, judge cuts, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. So I got all the way to the quarterfinals, so about halfway.
Okay. Yeah, that's a long season.
Yeah.
And so you kind of winced a little bit, when you heard that song. That was from audition 1.
Yeah.
Why'd you wince?
I mean, mainly just, I was actually really sick that day. Like I'd been dealing with a sickness for 2 weeks, and so if you look close, there's like a huge red streak above my lips.
I hadn't noticed, but now I'm gonna look.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, now we're gonna. We should watch it with him.
Yeah.
Can we watch it together? We'll have a viewing party.
Sure, why not? Let's do it. But yeah, I don't know. I was so nervous, and like I did all the cringiest things the first round. I did the little leg kick when I was like, no, I'm not nervous at all. And then I did the messed up heart at the end to Heidi Klum. I was like, that.
Oh, and you missed it.
I totally. It was supposed to look like that, but I just in the moment it looked more like that.
Just smash your hands together.
Yeah, I really did. So.
Got it.
That's hard to watch yourself back on something because you're in that moment, man. You're just kind of trying to get through it, and that's got to be nerve-wracking to be put on that stage. Like, what's the most people you had played for before America's Got Talent?
I mean, maybe 300, 400 with my dad, like, because he travels. So, like, I'd occasionally travel with him. But, like, by myself.
Yeah, if you're doing a show at a coffee shop or something.
Like 15, 20 people or something like that. Like, and now not that much.
500 people or 1,000 people watching you do this. We're talking to Joseph O'Brien, fresh off of America's Got Talent. Now, I'm sure that you at some point thought, okay, this is my big break. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't go your way and you don't make it past the quarters on America's Got Talent. And then it's like, now you're left to just be this 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid processing that. What is your thought process on that, or where do you stand now?
Well, I really consider it a blessing, mostly just because it gave me like a perspective of more of the trust aspect of my faith. So I think that's something I've always wrestled with. It was like, oh my gosh, like I really wanted to get to the semis or finals because I felt like that would shoot me off to like the next level where I could like, talk to a label or talk to music people and just be set for life. But it really, like, getting off the show that early has really caused me to, like, I don't know, just to trust the Lord more and to really rely on His will more than mine. Because, if I planned it, I'm not sure if I would have won the show because then I'd have a headline tour in Vegas.
If you had planned it, you would have planned it to win. Let's be honest.
Well,
we all would have.
But then I would be in Vegas, and Vegas scares me. So, So it's been weird, and honestly, I thought I was like much older, but like the more I think about it, I'm 20 years old. I still got a lot of time, so it's not like everything needs to fall in place right now. It's more like I'm going to focus on like growing in the Lord and just growing my musical ability, and then just seeing where He leads me next.
Well, that's interesting. We're talking to Joseph O'Brien, and like your dad is a Christian musician and stuff, and so it's kind of like in your family. I know like your mom might have been concerned about you going out there and doing this. And do you see any of the wisdom of her though in this? Because like you're talking about this, you're like, I had these plans, I was going to do this, and it didn't go this way, and it's really making me cleave back to my faith. And do you see like maybe some of her wisdom or her concern for you now?
Yeah, I think her concern really mostly was just, is this going to pull him away from like everything, which is what you're saying. And actually by the end of the show, I think she was pretty encouraged because I don't feel like I changed much after the show. I definitely learned. It was like a, adulting process kind of thing. I learned to adult. That was pretty interesting. But yeah, no, she definitely... by the end of the show, she's like, I'm so glad you're off that show. Yeah. Which was kind of funny. But she definitely was pretty encouraged with, kind of how I stayed true to who I was by the end of the show and that I didn't like sway to some kind of vision that AGT had for me.
Right. Now, did you do anything fun before you left LA? Okay, so you get out there and you're done on the show. Do they put you right back on a plane, like America's Got Talent, fly you right back out that night, or do you have time to like steal a bathrobe from the hotel?
Well, I mean, we're there for like 9 days for the live show, so I mean, we have pretty much 7 days to prep for the live shows, and then we have.
He's like, I got 47 hotel room robes.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So I stayed in the Lowe's Hotel, which was pretty nice. Apparently, it's a famous hotel. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not in like that whole world, but Hollywood Boulevard was actually, you'd envision it to be like, oh my gosh, Hollywood, but it was kind of freaked me out. It was like really industrial. There were people trying to hand you pamphlets everywhere,
and it's a little grimy too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so but there was a nice little section with like a Starbucks and a couple of like Mexican restaurants that was in this like circle with a fountain in the middle. Oh, it's so pretty. And so I just kind of hung in there and stayed away from the whole Hollywood Boulevard. But yeah, I did some fun things, especially with other contestants. Like I hung out with Rob Lake, Daniel Emmett, and they were nice guys, and they tried to like take me under their wing, I guess, a little bit, because I was like, what is this? And, they've been in the industry for a long time, so yeah.
We're talking to Joseph O'Brien. So knowing the outcome, okay, would you still go through the AGT experience again, or would you choose another route?
Oh, heck yeah, I would love to.
Really?
Like, it was, again, it was big learning experience for me. I've just got to learn about kind of the entertainment industry, how it sort of works. I learned a lot that, though your parents, I love my parents and I respect everything they've told me. In fact, like this was one of the things I 99% like always agree with them, never disagree. And this was the one thing I was like, I think I want to do this. And they were like, you probably shouldn't do this.
Really?
Yeah. I ended up going through with it, and I'm not like advocating for children to disobey their parents, but I'm saying that it was a decision that I believe the Lord used for actually a lot of good, that if I hadn't gone through it, it's not like I wouldn't have learned anything or if I would have missed out on anything. But it wasn't something I look back on and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't do that.
Well, that's cool. That's good, man. Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have you play a song for us, and you can do whatever you want to do. Okay. I'm not putting any rules on you. I'm not AGT.
Okay, cool.
You can play whatever you want to play, and we'll do that here within 15 on The Wally Show. Let me do this. Let me do a setup for this, because we're going to tape it upstairs, but then I'm going to grab the audio out of it and marry it to down here.
Okay.
And so we'll talk for a second about the song.
Okay.
Wait, FM, this is The Wally Show with Joseph O'Brien. He is the young guy from America's Got Talent. Your storyline was like he's never been kissed and stuff, and so that had to be a little hard to be like known, like that's what you were known for. And do people still talk to you about that kind of thing?
Yeah, probably the most like frequently asked question I get is, are you still single? Do you have a girlfriend now?
Right.
That's kind of the main thing. But
what is the answer? Because I don't think it's fair to bring up the question without giving the answer.
And you did shout out that one girl that you were in love with on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Did she ever reach out to you? What was her name? Megan?
It was Brianna.
Brianna. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
No, I called her the next morning.
To let her know what you had said?
Well, she was in class and she started getting a bunch of texts.
That's the best.
Because she had no idea what was happening. But no, I actually called her to kind of apologize, just because, I don't know, it just, to drop like her name on TV, I wasn't feeling super great about it.
You were put on the spot. It was a little unfair of them, honestly.
It was hard because 3,000 people are chanting for you to give her name.
But you know what? Here's where you're a good guy, and you call her to make it right. But you didn't do anything wrong. Like you said, nothing bad about her.
No,
They're asking you about someone you had a crush on. That didn't work out. Like you didn't paint her in a bad light. I think that's important.
So.
No, not at all. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, because I just said like there's something happened in the past. It just didn't go well. It wasn't like I was saying she broke my heart or anything like that. So,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I called her and. What was the question again?
Do you have a girlfriend? He's like dodging it. Boy, that Brianna's got him all spun around.
Okay, so no, I'm still single,
Okay.
still ready to Christian farmer mingle or whatever.
Okay, so there you go. There you go.
So anyway, yeah, no, that's the answer.
The answer. Okay.
All right. Well, we got the answer to the important question.
Yes. Sorry to put you off, but since
No,
we
it's all
brought it
good.
up, I'm like, it's fair to follow through with that.
You're gonna have to call him tomorrow and apologize, Becca.
Nah, it's okay. I'm good.
All right, so you got the opportunity here. We want you to play a song. What do you want to do?
So I'm gonna play a song actually I wrote when I was 13. It's like an oldie one. But
At 13?
Yeah, I was 13, and I was actually planning on doing it for the next round if I got to the next round.
Really?
So it's a song that never happened. But it's actually a Christian song. So it was gonna be pretty explicit. Like if people listened to it, they would have been like, oh. Yeah, now it confirms my suspicions. Like
I
was a
really
Christian,
wish you'd got through
That's a
that,
bummer.
man.
Also,
Yeah.
I love that you described it as explicit, not as in
Yes.
explicit lyrics, but it's
Oh,
explicitly Christian.
Explicitly Christian.
It's funny.
That's right, radical.
That's what you should do on your next album. You should put explicit Christian lyrics on
Yes,
it. That's
exactly.
genius.
Exactly.
I'll name that the album title.
That could be
there.
it.
Yeah, hey, sparked that idea. Yeah, so the song's called Light, and I feel like it really spoke to me even when I was younger, because I did have some trouble kind of in high school making friends. Mostly freshman year, because I was like this 5'3" big afro, like 100-pound skinny guy who had no like social boundaries or anything like that. So it spoke to me in a dark time there, but it also kind of it ministered to me even when I was on the show, because it does talk about it's like being a light yourself, being a light of the world. City set on a hill cannot be hidden, but also in the midst of the darkness, we cry out for the Lord to come and shine his light on us. So it's like kind of a double, like, I want to be a light, but Lord, I need your light in order to be a light. So it's a lot of light.
Oh, there you go. I like this. I like the concept of it. And here's the good news, too. With your explicit Christian lyrics,
Yeah.
we have a lot of producers and record people that listen to this show.
Sweet.
So who knows? This could be your big break here.
Hey, that'd be awesome.
Don't blow it like you did HET.
All right.
Oh boy.
All right, sounds good.
Give him a break.
Try not to.
Joseph O'Brien with Light here on The Wally Show.
You're my lamp, oh Lord. You redeemed my soul. For with you is the foundation of life, and I will live to enjoy your light. For I will live in your light. In the midst of the darkness, we cry out for your light to come down to us. Your light will come down to us. When we struggle with doubt, we know that your light will come down to us. Send forth your chosen and bring to me your truth and holy fountain, so that I may yearn for you more, and that I may praise in your courts. For I will praise in your courts. We're singing in the midst of the darkness, we cry out for your light to come down to us. Your light will come down to us. When we struggle with doubt, we know that your light will come down to us. So help me to plant my feet on the solid ground. Help me to shine the light of Jesus all around. Help me to stand out from the crowd and give what you gave to me. We're singing. In the midst of the darkness, we cry out for your light to come down to us. Your light will come down to us. When we struggle with doubt, we know that your light will come down to us. Your light will come down to us. Your light will come down to us. Your